I'm excited today to talk about women's health because women, we are intuitive beings, and sometimes we feel like something's not quite right, and yet all the results say that everything's normal. So today's guest is Dr. Anthea Todd, who is the founder of Female Fundamentals. Anthea is also a chiropractor and has a double master's in women's reproductive health and women's medicine. She's also the publisher of her own book called What's My Body Telling Me, and hosts her own podcast, What's My Body Telling Me, as well. Anthea has helped thousands of women see their symptoms not as a problem, but as a solution. Welcome, Anthea. Thanks so much for coming today.
Thanks so much for having me, Alex. I'm excited.
I know we haven't seen each other for about a year since last time we were on a discussion panel last year for Mind, Body, Soul.
Yes.
And then we're seeing each other again for next week to do Mind, Body, Soul again. So it's an exciting time for both of us.
It is. We've come full circle. I know when I met you, I'm like, oh, who is this lady? I want to get to know you more.
Yeah.
Interesting story.
Now, tell us a bit about yourself and what led you to become a chiropractor.
Well, I think I was born into being it, I suppose. Both my parents are chiropractors, and they're the type of people that love what they do. I know there's a lot of people that are like, oh, my parents were teachers, so I became a teacher. Or maybe they're like, I never want to be a teacher because I saw my parents hate it. But I saw my parents absolutely love what they do. I'm like, I want to do what you're doing. They would come home from work and be like, oh, I've got this patient with XYZ different symptom. What do you think's going on? So I've always been someone that's curious about the body. But I suppose when I got into my final years of high school, I was like, do I want to do chiropractic or do I want to be a heart surgeon? Because also when I was a young teen, I was diagnosed with a hole in my heart, atrial septal defect, and I also had SVT. So I had to have 3 different surgeries to fix that. And also subsequent to the second surgery, I was on blood thinners. I actually nearly became a quadriplegic by an accident in the surf. So I got helicoptered to Royal Children's Hospital and all the things. And I was like, oh, medicine's pretty cool too. Maybe I want to do that. So I was very thankful to be able to do work placement with a general surgeon in my country town. Got to see gallbladders be removed and emergency cesareans and all this amazing stuff. I was like, whoa. And then I thought, I want to help people before they need to get to this stage, particularly when we're talking about chronic illness, that is. And so then I went down the chiropractic route and loved it, absolutely loved university and learning. I think I'm just someone that just gets engrossed and is fascinated with the body. And then once I first started working, I thought, I don't think I'm helping people to the degree that I thought I would be. There's all of these particularly women that would come in and I'd be caring for them as a chiropractor would, but they'd be like, I'm not sleeping very well, or my hair's falling out, or I've got this dry skin here, or I'm starving myself on a juice cleanse and I cannot lose weight. And I've been to the endocrinologist, I've been to my GP, I've been to all these people that I should be going to, and they're just saying, oh, it's maybe in your head, here's an antidepressant, or here's this medication to help you lose weight. But like, I'm doing all the things that should be working. Like, what's going on? And I just would see the look of defeat on their face, feeling like their body was the problem, like it was out to get them. And I, with my background, I'm like, no, don't you understand? The body's amazing. It's incredible when you get to listen to it like this. So then I thought, okay, I'm missing some pieces. And that's when I went on and studied the Masters in Women's Health Medicine and Reproductive Medicine, which helped a lot. And it expanded my horizons in that sense. But then I also thought, what they teach in that is, well, if it doesn't hit these parameters, then there's no issue. Because what they're looking for is, do you need medication or surgery? Great news if you don't. If we don't find anything, that's awesome news. It means you're not bad enough to need medication or surgery. But as the person, you're like, so what do I do? I'm like, what do I do now? I have symptoms and no diagnosis, or I have a diagnosis and no answers. So that's where it's like that lost in the space between. That's all. Okay, how do we care for these people? So then I went and studied functional medicine and then the energetics, because as I've said, I'm just fascinated with the body and the little whispers that come about. So that's really my journey of how I've gotten here. And really my mission is to help the people that feel lost in that space between, because what I found is there's no one. I've studied across all of them and it's like no one's really helping these people. That's why we feel so lost. So that's what I want to do.
Yeah, and I love your analogy you've got in the book, and it's about Jane. And Jane wakes up tired, so she has a coffee,
Mhm.
and then her hair's brittle, so she has strength shampoo, and then she goes, "Oh, I got spots on my nails," and so she puts nail polish on, and then she goes, "I got heavy menstrual period," so she takes the contraceptive pill, and it goes on and on and on.
Mhm.
And instead of looking at it holistically, she
Mhm.
thinks, "Oh, I'm living my life to the fullest," and yet it's all
Mhm.
bandaging and sticky taping all these little symptoms together, isn't it?
Mhm. And it's people think it's normal because it's so common. How many people wake up exhausted and go, "Oh, I just need my morning coffee and then I'm fine." Like imagine if you woke up bursting with energy and you're that people would be like, "What is this person on?
Yeah,
Are
give
they
me that.
okay? Like what is happening?" And you haven't had any coffee or Red Bull this morning? But like that's actually what it feels like when your body is bursting with life, when you've supported it. So it's like, okay, that if we can set that as the baseline and that is actually the norm instead of just, well, it's common for everyone to feel like this. For women, it's common to get period pain. Like how many of us were like, oh, my mum had that, so that's what I'm going to have,
So
or my
it's
auntie.
normal.
Exactly. Instead of
Yeah.
going, well, maybe actually we're all missing the warning signs and we're not listening to our body. And I think that's when we think about healthcare, particularly in Western societies, it's different in Eastern cultures, but we often will go, well, if there's no issue here, then on the test, then you're okay. Or if you have symptoms, then again, let's just like bandages up. Like, let's get rid of the symptom instead of going, oh, if I knew my body was always looking out for me and it's the smartest piece of technology that we have, what would it be trying to tell me with this hair falling out, with this heavy period, with this painful period? What's it trying to tell me? And that's when you get really curious and you start to listen to it in a different way.
Yeah. And you talk very similar to I do in cardiac, in that you say your body's talking to you, and I say my heart's
Mm.
talking to me. And we all lead such busy lives that we don't listen to our heart or our body because it's such busy and we're always living in our heads.
Mhm.
And then the universe or your body knocks that little bit louder and says,
Mhm.
hey, you need to make a change. And we still don't listen. And in the cardiac space, it knocks so loud that you have a cardiac event. And then you go, oh, okay, I'm ready to listen now. And it's the same with you, that you're saying the body is telling you things.
Mhm.
So what are the sort of things that it is sort of telling you that we're not listening to? Is it past traumas coming up? Is it emotional stuff? Is it what is the things?
Well, this is where I've sort of developed that fundamentals framework. So often when we, like, say for instance, you might get a bit of dry skin that's a bit itchy. No one's really thinking, oh my gosh, I need to go to the doctor about that. If you get dry skin that's really itchy and it keeps you up at nighttime and it's spreading across your whole body, you're going to be like, I need to go see someone about that. Like that's yelling a little bit louder. It's not a cardiac arrest, but it's yelling a little bit louder, right? So often when we experience symptoms that are causing us to have to change our life around, or they're causing us some form of distress, they're acute, we don't know what's happening, that's where we need to go and see a doctor because they're trained to be able to do that. But then once you're given the all clear, symptoms, no diagnosis, or diagnosis, no real answers, that's when we need to go to that functional space. And the functional space can be like overwhelming. What do you do? Is it a parasite? Do I need to do a detox cleanse? Is it a cold plunge? What about sunlight? Do I need to do that? It's like it's your Instagram algorithm feed.
Yeah.
Where the hell are you meant to start?
And where do you start?
So that's where, after studying all of the different modalities that I did, I'm like, oh, okay. Instead of going, oh, I need to focus on my thyroid, or it's the gut microbiome, or it's my adrenals, how about I just give the cells what they need? And if the cells have what they need, and I know the body is amazing and knows what to do, then the cells of my adrenal glands work better, the cells of my ovaries, the cells of my brain, the cells of my thyroid, everything is working in unison because you've just given the cells what they needed. And that's where I talk about the 4 fundamentals. So that's your nervous system, metabolism, nutrients, and blood sugars. And you would hear people talk about, oh, well, you just have to mind your stress, and that's the thing that you need to care about. Or you just have to adapt a ketogenic diet, and that's the thing that's going to help with your insulin resistance, which drives inflammation, which produces cardiac incidents, right? So yes, but also how much does stress impact that? How much does whether you're getting appropriate sunlight and metabolism for your body affect that? So it's about looking at all 4 of them because they all knock on each other. They're all going to be
Well, let's
combating
talk
that.
about the four individually. So which one shall we start with? The nervous system.
There's no one that's more important than the other, but I
No.
usually say it in the same order. So then people are
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, it feels like a flow. So we can start with nervous system. Absolutely. So you can think about your nervous system like a traffic light. So this is what I talk about in the book. So we have the part of our nervous system that's like the conscious part. So I want to pick up my glass of water and take a sip of it. That's the conscious part. But the part that's like a traffic light is like the unconscious part. Like we're both sitting here and we haven't pooed ourselves. That's pretty great. Our heart's beating. That's also really great. We're controlling our temperature.
Yeah.
That's also really great. So our nervous system is helping our body keep us safe, adapt our insides to adapt with whatever's happening outside. That's what it does. So most of the time we want to be in a green light. Like when I drove here today, unfortunately, I got a lot of orange and red lights, which is a bit frustrating when you feel like you're running late, right?
Yeah.
So a green light is like when you drive 2 hours, every single thing is green, you're listening to music, there's no traffic, everything feels like flow. So this is where you feel calm, curious, playful, pleasure. You feel in your body. You feel this sense of spaciousness and time. That's when your body feels like it's in a green light. And that's technically called your ventral vagal nervous system. Then we can go into an orange light. And an orange light is that sympathetic dominant state. So it's the fight flight. So we feel rushed. We feel like we have less time. We have anxiety. We have fear. We have what happens in our body. We have more adrenaline, cortisol released. Our heart rate increases. Our sweat increases. So all of these things start to come up because it's like, well, we need to be prepared because there's something going on that we need to be able to protect ourselves against. And then sometimes we can go into a red light. And a red light is where we go more into that freeze, fawn, shutdown state. And by the way, all of these lights, we need them. It's like when you drive on the road. If everyone had green lights, absolute chaos, right?
You just can't have them chronically.
Exactly. So most of the time you want to be in a green. It feels good to be in the green most of the time. But that red light is where we shut down, freeze, fawn. We can feel hopeless. We can feel depressed. We can feel like actually just physically heavy. And this one's an interesting one because a lot of people, back to that common and normal, a lot of people exist here but feel like they're in a green because they're not like outwardly looking like they're stressed. When you're in an orange, you really know you're in an orange. Whereas a red, it's just sort of like you can become disassociated and disconnected from your body, and it's almost like you're going through the motions. It's like, well, everyone's sort of asleep at the wheel. So that's the feeling of that red light. So what do we do to get into a green? So this is where connecting to your body in a safe way is really helpful. And even before, when you're like, what is my heart saying? I love to talk to different parts of my body, but not necessarily talk from. So if you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to tune into my heart. What's my heart trying to tell me? It's like, okay, how about we flip that and go, if I was a heart cell, what would my heart cell be saying? So you're speaking from that. It's a really nice exercise to connect you to your body and then be in the present moment. And then the other things that help with the green light, there's so, like, you can talk about yoga, meditation, ice bath. Like, there's so many things that can help your nervous system. But also what I find with people that really want to support their body, they've got a to-do list of all the things they need to do for their body to hold it together. So you're Jane, but on the other side, you're like, oh, I'm doing all these things to hold myself together. And I'm like, and how do you feel?
Yeah,
You still got all these
exhausted,
symptoms.
can't sleep.
My health is my job. It's like, hang on, that's not meant to be another job. So this is where the two things that I've found the most impactful for me personally and for my patients is spaciousness and that sense of play. Because when we have spaciousness, that instantly calms down our nervous system. We could be doing things that we love, absolutely love, but it's crammed in and we have no spaciousness around it. That is going to make our nervous system go into that state. So when we enable spaciousness, it calms us down. It goes into a green light. So
Can you just explain spaciousness a little bit more? Is that just taking your time doing the task that you enjoy doing, or?
Yeah, and also allowing for there to be space between the things as well. I think when you're like, oh, I'm so excited to be doing all these things, or when you sit down, you might be the person that's sitting down and resting but thinking, about all the things you could be doing. And
Yeah.
it's like if I sit down, I'm lazy. And then you're sitting there and you're resting, but you're actually not resting because your mind's not where you are.
So you're not in the moment.
No, exactly. It's presence, right? Being in the present moment. But one of the things that really helps people is, particularly for women, I say be like a lioness, or for a man, be like a lion. So how does a lioness move? She's like lounging out on the savannah, right? In the sun, stretched out. She's looking around slowly. And if she's going to hunt something or attack something, she does, and then she's not, right? Versus what does a hyena or a gazelle do? They're looking from side to
Jittery.
side, jittery, they're moving really fast, talking really fast, all that stuff, right? So you might be a busy mum that has the kids to get ready in the morning, and then you got to drive to school, and then you got to work, and then you got to do all these things, right? Yes, you can still do them, but do it like a lioness would. So you're walking slower, you're talking slower, you're more intentional, and it's like, okay, I'm here, you're in your body, versus you're imagining all of these other things, and there's 50 million of you outside of you. It's like calling back that energy. So that's where creating spaciousness can come from. Because I know for me, I'm like, I don't have enough time to slow down. What are you talking about? There's so many things to do. It's like, that's all very well and good, but okay, how about we just trial this? I'm going to experiment, see whether I can actually achieve all the things I wanted to achieve, but do it in a different way.
And you can.
You can, absolutely you can. But it's often hard to believe that unless you've trialed it. So that's why I always say, just trial it. Don't try, because if you try, you might not actually fully do it. You're sort of half in, half out. But if you trial it, you're fully doing it, but you're not committing to how long you're doing it for.
True.
So that's also another thing to go, okay, I'm going to trial that and see. And then lo and behold, everything calms down. And that's what happened with me in terms of listening to your body. I was doing all these things that I loved, and I didn't think I was quote unquote stressed, because I was like, oh, well, compare studying 2 masters to then writing the book. Oh no, writing the book was way more stressful than the 2 masters, but I'm not stressed. And then I look back at that now, I'm like, oh my gosh, I definitely was compared to my life now, but you get so normalized. But the thing that is always going to tell you is your physical body. Because for me, my skin is the canary in the coal mine. Different people, it could be their sleep, it could be their gut, it could be their periods. But for me, all of those other things are fine. It's my skin that will tell me.
Right.
So I know, even though I could be like, oh no, I'm not stressed. If my
Your
skin's
skin's
playing
coming
up,
out in what, a rash or?
yeah, I get acne or blood-filled cysts, like really painful stuff. Oh, okay, right. What's my body trying to tell me? Okay, well, and this is what you do. Any symptom, what's my body trying to tell me? Skin acne stuff, I know I don't need medication or surgery. It's not something that's going to kill me, right? But then I go, okay, functionally, have I been looking after these fundamentals? Okay, I might be thinking that I am. I'm not stressed. I definitely was stressed. And then I think energetically, and energetically, often something that's really helpful is you speak from that part of your body. So if I was my skin, what would my skin be telling me? And that's that was the big game changer for me. I know we're sort of jumping ahead, but that was the thing that helped me go, oh, well, when I spoke from my skin was like, I'm so irritated. It was like angry voice, like irritated. I'm like, oh, okay. And then not going into that and going, okay, just being curious, what are you irritated about? What's irritating you? And then, okay, that's interesting. Let's remove that from your life. Lo and behold, skin's cleared up.
Right. So you're actually really having a great conversation with your body, aren't you? With every cell, asking it, what's wrong? What do you need from me? What do we need to change?
Yeah, that's where your body is your best doctor. And I think as health practitioners, we often are like, well, let's be evidence-based and let's have patient-centered care. But we also need the patient to also assume responsibility. We are there to help, but you'll know working with different patients, when you have a patient that assumes the responsibility, it's so much easier, right? But also, when you're the person that's assuming responsibility, it's really helpful when you know how to go about that, because no one really teaches you how to listen to your body, really.
Nobody.
No. So this is where it's, oh, okay, I can reconnect and I'm assuming responsibility, but I also know I have these tools and people that can help me, but I know I'm ultimately my best doctor. So that's the important thing, because otherwise you can go down rabbit holes and be like, that person didn't help me and this person didn't help me. And then it's sort of like, okay, is that helping you now though, having that mindset and mind frame? But anyway.
And your second fundamental is blood sugars.
Yes.
Blood sugars is, as in cardiac as well, is extremely inflammatory and damages all the endothelial linings of all your arteries, leading to cardiac disease and systemic disease.
Mm-hmm.
So what's with blood sugars for you, and that you're saying they're energy regulators and they also stabilize your mood, your energy and your metabolism?
Absolutely. So if we go, okay, well, the nervous system, when you're in that orange light, your body needs to make sure it has fuel to be able to fuel that. So often your blood sugars can rise. If you're in the red light, you can actually go into a hypoglycemic. So what's happening with your nervous system can impact your blood sugars. But also we know what we eat is going to change what's happening with our blood sugars. So you can think about your blood sugars in terms of basically it's the fuel mode that you use. So imagine your body is like a car and it's a hybrid car. So we have the fuel that we can use from the battery and we have the fuel that we can use from the fuel lines. It's the same in our body. We can use our fat to burn fuel, and we can use carbohydrates, more of that glucose. So if you're always burning glucose, because that's easy to burn, it's much easier to burn than fat, our body will use that more readily. So what we want to do is help our body be able to switch between the fuel modes. So this is where people talk about fasting, for instance. Fasting, if you're not having any glucose in, then your body's forced to use the battery. Like in a hybrid car, if you had no fuel, it'd be like, oh, we need to use the battery to get from A to B, which is all very well and good. But sometimes when we are metabolically inflexible because our other fundamentals are off, it's very hard to access that. So this is where a lot of people come to me and they're the person that's like, I've starved myself. Like I'm on that juice detox cleanse. I'm having way less calories and I've gained weight, or I have not lost any weight. This is a sign. This is your body saying, hey, you are not able to access that fat as fuel. Your body is really struggling to switch into that mode. And that mode is ketosis. So when people are talking about going on a keto diet or ketosis, that's what that is. You're burning fat as fuel. So you can either burn fat as fuel from your diet or you can burn fat from your body. So this is what we need to be able to do that, because when we're burning fat as fuel, it's way less inflammatory. It's a lot better for our arteries, but for inflammation in our whole body, for being able to generate 400 times the amount of energy from our mitochondria.
Wow.
How many mitochondrial cells are in the heart? A lot. I think it's one of the organs that has the most amount of mitochondrial density. So this is where if we can go, okay, how can I help support my body be able to switch between the modes? That is one of the best signs of a healthy body, is that adaptability. If we're always stuck in one, then it's not going to be helpful.
So how do we interchange between the two easily?
So this is where if you're someone that has tried the fasting, and this is an interesting thing for me. I did fasting when I first started, I think the 800 fast. Michael Mosley, who unfortunately passed away tragically last year, but he had that, and that was like when fasting sort of started to come more and more into the zeitgeist. And I was like, I'm going to try this. And my skin got worse. I gained weight. I was like, it's like did the reverse effect. I'm like, oh, okay. So it wasn't the thing that I needed, and how I went about it wasn't actually what my body needed. So what we need to do first is go, okay, I need to help my body burn fat. So adapting a ketogenic diet is really, really helpful. So that's having a 3-to-1 ratio of proteins, of fats to proteins. And then you can do, like people can test like a ketone urine strip, is just a very cost-effective way. You can get it $10 from the chemist. And you can weigh on them and see like, oh, okay, my body is actually in ketosis. It means it's burning fat as fuel. Amazing. Then we go, okay, well, I'm burning fat, but it's fat from my diet. How can I help my body switch into burning its own fat? And that's where we reduce down the calories, and you can be counting calories. I'm not someone that likes to do that because sometimes it can trigger your nervous system to be like, oh my gosh, I have to be really onto this. It's often just like, okay, you eat from a smaller plate and that's what you're doing. So that is really helpful in helping to switch to, okay, now my body's burning fat as fuel. That's 400 times the amount of energy that my mitochondria can use. It's decreasing inflammation. It's regulating my moods. We know, like, from a neurology standpoint, there's so many studies in seizures and the ketogenic diet and how beneficial that is. So we know it's really helpful for helping our cells generate that energy if we're coming back to what do the cells need. So it's being able to do that, but then also go, okay, I am going to have a piece of birthday cake because it's my birthday, or I'm going out and having fun with friends, but I know that my body can adapt back into that mode. And that's where sometimes fasting can be helpful. But if you fast without your body being able to get into that state, that's where you'll be like, oh, I'm getting all these different symptoms. I feel really fatigued and tired. You like starve in the land of plenty because your body hasn't been able to be like, oh, I can burn fat as fuel. Now I'll burn my own fat. So if you fast and do that, that's where you often get the symptoms and side effects.
So is the rule of thumb to be in a ketogenic diet all the time, or is it good to switch between the two?
I would say switch between the two. Yeah. And also just in terms of lifestyle, and if we're balancing all four of the fundamentals, I think it can be quite stress-inducing for a lot of people to be like, I have to be in keto for like what the rest of my life. I can't have any carbohydrates of any kind. It's like, no, we do, but we source really great carbohydrates. And we know, okay, yes, maybe you've had a drink of alcohol or some food that's not so great, but also that was because you were celebrating someone and you were in the moment and you were present, and it was those things. It's like, oh, I was actually really leaning into my nervous system fundamental there, and I wasn't having 12 glasses of wine or having to have a bottle of wine every time I came back from work because I was trying to numb out. It's like, okay, like we need to make sure we're balancing all of them together. Yeah. So it's about being able to flip between them.
Right.
Yeah. It's always, it's balance. That's
balance.
And that's homeostasis, right? That's what our body wants is balance.
Balance.
So when we care for all of these, that's where our body likes to get the balance.
And your third fundamental is metabolism, which I love. So, you know, people either got a fast metabolism or a slow metabolism, and like the slow metabolism, you got cold hands, you got cold feet, poor circulation. This is me to a T. Waking up throughout the night, dry skin, weight gain in the abdomen, the hips, the thighs. That's me.
Yes.
So the question is that if you're either fast metabolism or slow metabolism, how do you get to normal metabolism?
Well, this is the thing, and it's so interesting. So I do, when I'm assessing someone with that functional side of things, I do hair tissue mineral analysis. So it's a hair test. I find blood tests are really helpful when we're looking medically. What could be going on? Do you need medication or surgery?
Yeah.
It's like,
Real
we
time.
need to help you now. There's blood tests, obviously, like a HbA1c, which is more of a longer term one. But a hair test is really great because it's a 3-month average of what's been going on in the tissues. It's sort of like your hair follicle is exposed to blood supply to grow. So it's basically getting that stored information of that 3 months. And on that, one of the things that you get back is what's your metabolic type. And you can be categorized into 8 different types. There's a fast and a slow, and a 1, 2, 3, or 4 in each of them. So why you'll be a slow is because your body is like, I need to hold on to calcium more, and I need to disperse and get rid of phosphorus. We think about like ATP, right? Adenosine triphosphate, 3 phosphates, phosphorus. That speeds us up. Calcium is a sedative nutrient. What do people say when you can't sleep? Have a warm glass of milk. Unless you have lactose intolerance, then probably don't do that, right? But that's where calcium helps to calm us down. So when our body, and this is a really important thing that I always get across to people when they get their results back of these things, like, oh, why am I a slow metabolizer? It's looking at all the fundamentals together and go, well, why might your body be wanting to slow you down? Because it's trying to help you. Why is it? It's trying to slow you down. It's actually holding on to and shifting this calcium from your bone, where we want it to be to strengthen your bones, into your bloodstream to slow you down. But what happens if we stay chronically in that, particularly for women? What's a common cascade? Osteoporosis. And then
leaching.
What? Gallstones, uterine fibroids, cardiovascular disease. What's happened? The calcium's in the wrong place of the body for too long. So we need to, in answer to your question, what's the ideal metabolism? Because I have lots of people that are like, I'm a fast 4 type. What's the ideal thing? Or I'm a slow 1, or what's the normal, right? Ideally, we want to be able to move between them. Again, it's sort of like a car, and the metabolism is like the engine. So if you're stuck driving 100 kilometers an hour and you're in a 40K zone, really dangerous. If you're stuck driving 20 kilometers an hour on a highway, also really dangerous. We want a metabolism that is adaptable. So when you're in a 40K zone, you adapt to a 40K zone. When you're in a 100K zone, you adapt to a 100K zone. So an adaptable metabolism is the ideal one. And you adapt because you've cared for your other 3 fundamentals, but also you're caring directly for the metabolism. So one of the best things to do for that is sunlight. Sunlight, sunlight, sunlight in the correct order. So you're not like, and when I say sunlight, I also am equating light. I know we're under a lot of blue light and artificial light at the moment. You can imagine light like literally like a nutrient, like a food. So this is what I say to people. It is the first thing in your body for the day. So if you're like, oh, what time can I have coffee? I have to wait until 9 a.m. because what about my cortisol spike and what's happening? Do I have it on an empty stomach or not? Or is coffee the devil? Or like it's all these different things. I'm like, okay, just forget about any of that stuff. I just want you to be like, sunlight is the first nutrient in or on your body for the day. Because what that's doing is it's getting that specific wavelength of light, the infrared light, near infrared light, which tells our mitochondria, the energy part of our cells, to start work. It's like, oh, okay, it's nighttime. Oh, it's not
daylight.
nighttime. It's daylight,
Yeah.
exactly. And not to mention you're getting vitamin D, which is anti-inflammatory, but there's so many other aspects of light that actually help your engine of your car, the metabolism, to kick in and start working. The knock-on effects are like there's so many. We don't even have time to get into it. It's like a whole other podcast to talk about. But basically, general rule of thumb, sunlight in the morning, then in the middle of the day, you're getting exposed to like that brighter light. There's more blues, there's more ultraviolet light in that light. And then the sunset, that's where you get that light. And then at nighttime, you want to try and avoid artificial light. But a lot of people will wake up, they'll look straight at their phone, which is straight away a bright blue light. So it's out of order of what naturally occurs. So then your cells are like, what is happening? I don't know what's going on. What's my metabolism? How fast am I meant to be going? Am I 100K or am I 40K or 20? Like what's happening? So when we can actually get that rhythm, that's helping our metabolism regulate. It also signals things like leptin, which helps with your blood sugars, and it also helps with your nervous system. So it's a whole knock-on effect, but basically morning light is your best friend.
So get up and get outside and
Yes.
get some sunlight onto your body.
Yes, and if you wear glasses, don't wear glasses. Like if you're going for a walk, walk with your glasses. I don't want people falling over and tripping and breaking an arm or something. But when you get to a place where you can see the sun, take your glasses off and just like sit and look at the sun, because what that's doing is the actual wavelengths of light are going into your retina, and where that light crosses over, I'm just cautious of getting too in detail and geeking out, but where your optic nerves cross over is the optic chiasm right in the middle of your brain. Like if you could drill a hole through the roof of your mouth, that's where it would be. And that optic chiasm hits where? Right at the sala turcica, right where the pituitary gland is. What does the pituitary gland do? Regulates all of your hormones. So it's like, if your menstrual cycles are out of rhythm, maybe just like correcting your rhythms with the sunlight can help dramatically with what your stress hormone levels are doing. Lots of people come to me with Dutch tests and like my cortisol levels peaking too high in the morning, and then it's reversed. It's switching at nighttime. It's doing all this stuff. It's like, okay, let's just focus on your fundamentals. Let's just get the sunlight right and see what happens with that. And lo and behold, often it reverses, and then your metabolism starts to work well. So sunlight is a big thing. On the hair test, we look and see, okay, calcium and phosphorus ratio will tell us whether someone's a fast or a slow. And then we're also looking at what is a normal one. I, for instance, have been a slow one. I've done 5 of them. Every single time I'm a slow one. Slow is where your nervous system would go more so into that red light. A fast is more where your nervous system goes into an orange light. And the higher the number, the more chronically you've been in it. So ideally you don't want to be a 4. in either of them. You
Because
want
it
to be a
means you've been
one.
there for years. Yeah,
Yes.
because normally we all grow up, isn't it? Let's say you've got a slow metabolism. Hey, that's me for the rest of my life.
Exactly. Everyone thinks they're
That's
locked
what we
in.
all think is that myth, isn't it?
Yeah.
And whereas you're saying, no, we can adjust those
Flexible.
levels.
Well, this is the number one rule of the body and health is adapt. Adapt to survive. It's evolution. Adaptability is the number one marker, in my opinion, of health. And you hear a lot of mental health experts talk about one of the common denominators amongst any mental health diagnosis is this lack of adaptability and this rigidness of something. So it's okay, how can I help my body adapt? And what are people doing now? Contrast therapy, sauna, ice bath. Why? Because you're putting your body in an external environment that's really going to stress it to force it to adapt. Because otherwise, what are we doing? We're sitting in a blue lit environment behind a laptop, a lot of us, in an air conditioned room. It's all very controlled. So our body isn't forced to adapt. So this is where helping your body be forced in a healthy way to adapt can be really beneficial in helping with that flexibility. So it's, again, I see a lot of people with the metabolism being like, oh, well, no, I've got a slow one and that's just what it is. I eat nothing and I gain 50 kilos and
And that's just me.
and my sibling, the bastard, can eat whatever they want and not gain weight. Like my older brother, he would go on holidays and lose weight. I'd be like, what do you mean? You've been eating like 10 meals a day, eating whatever you want, drinking alcohol, doing all these things. He's like, yeah, I lost weight because I wasn't eating my protein and exercising and doing all this stuff. But it's not just to do with that. Your metabolism and your weight are not the same thing. Your weight is a symptom which is telling you about all of your fundamentals.
Right. Okay. Let's get into weight then. Before we get into nutrients,
Okay.
the fourth fundamental.
Okay.
Weight. Let's get into weight then.
So we think about, this is back to the blood sugar. So your fat cells, if you think about when you get energy in, so when we eat food, if it has carbohydrates, fats, proteins, carbohydrates will spike your blood sugars more rapidly. It's like kindling of a fire. It's like, it'll burn really quick. Proteins, a bit thicker of a log. Fat is like a really chunky log. It's not gonna peak your blood sugars. So when we have higher amounts of blood sugars, our body goes, oh, okay, we don't want that to be too crazy. We don't want it to go too high. So I'm going to shuttle some of that away. Insulin comes in, it goes, okay, I'm going to shuttle some of that away. It goes straight to the liver. It goes, liver sponge. The liver's going to soak up some, and then the liver goes, I'm full. Where else can we put it? And it goes, okay, I'm going to put it in the muscle sponge. And the muscle sponge gets full. A great way to help your blood sugars is to build muscles. So when you're going and lifting weights at the gym, that's expanding your muscle sponge so you can soak up more blood sugars. And then finally it goes, well, the liver's full, the muscle's full, where are we going to put it? Oh, I've got place, fat.
Better put it in the fat cells.
Exactly. And the good thing about fat cells is they can swell. They can continue to swell and swell and swell and swell and swell. So we get more and more and more and more fat. Our fat cells swell. So this is where we need to go, okay, well, how can we help access that? And that's what we're talking about with the blood sugars, is going, okay, well, how can we support our body to burn fats? And that's going to be beneficial for our liver, for our muscles, and for our fat cells because we're accessing that as fuel.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the fourth fundamental is nutrients.
Exactly, is nutrients. So there's so many different little whispers from your body that might be telling you what's happening with nutrients. For instance, iron. You might be someone that gets really breathless, but you don't necessarily have a cardiac or a lung issue. So I just get quite breathless when I walk upstairs and all of my other friends don't. Or maybe you have heavy periods, so that's probably a warning sign that you're losing iron, or maybe your hair's falling out, or for instance with copper you've got white spots on your fingernails or you get stretch marks. So there's a lot of different nutrients that our body has and we need to utilize what's going on. It's sort of like if you imagine that blood sugar is, okay, what type of fuel are you having? But our nutrients are sort of like, okay, are you putting diesel in a diesel car or petrol in a petrol car? It's sort of like us. Like if you eat processed food and junk, your body's probably not going to work very well. But if you eat the things that your body's used to having, the proteins, the fats, the carbs, all the fiber, all the great stuff, then it can use it. But the thing is, much like a car, what happens if the fuel line isn't attached to the engine? Like there's a leak, then it's going to be much harder for the engine to work. So it's the same with our gut absorption, right? So a lot of people can be like, I'm eating, for instance, we take iron. I'm eating heaps of iron. Why is my iron so low? maybe your gut is chronically inflamed and you can't absorb it. So maybe that's the issue. We go, well, what do I do then? Well, maybe it's not absorbing because you're chronically stressed and you're in that sympathetic state. So then it's shut down absorption. So this is where you can go down all these rabbit holes. Like we could dissect any symptom that you have, but really it's always coming back to the fundamentals. If you just go, forget about the symptom, let's just come back to the fundamental. And then that's what your body was trying to tell you with the symptoms. Like, okay, I don't have what I need. What do I need? The fundamentals. And then symptoms start to fall away. So there's that nutrient where you have the absorption, then you need to utilize it. So for instance, with iron, a lot of people come to me with recurrent iron issues. We see what's happening with their gut absorption, obviously, and their nervous system. But a lot of the times it's they need more copper or they don't have a good copper and zinc balance. So it's the same with a car. You can have fuel, but do you have oil? Do you have radiator fluid? Do you have all the other things that the...
So again, you would see that through a hair follicle sample?
Yeah. Yeah. So we can see, and we can also see, oh, this person has a chronic low-grade infection somewhere that's depleting their copper, because copper we use to help fight bacterial things, our bacterial immune system. So when that's depleted, then it's like, oh, now you've got these chronic iron issues. That's what's contributing to that. And then the final thing is excretion. So you could be someone that's like, I use my bowels like 20 times a day, or you're someone's like, oh, I go 3 or 4 days without doing it. So it's, oh, okay, we need to support that. But again, they all interact with each other. Why do you use your bowel? Why is it so slow? You could go down the medical route of give me a label. What is it? Oh, you've got hypothyroidism. Everything's slowed down. Yeah, but why? Why is that there? And then that's where the why is functional. Let's look at all these fundamentals. On someone's hair test, I had someone, and I explained, she's Maeve in the book. She actually came on my podcast and explained her story recently. Her real name's Melody, I can say, because she's been on my podcast openly. And she was a 21-year-old girl. She'd recently gotten married. She wanted to have kids. She was experiencing menstrual cycles that were, I think they range from every 48 to 75 days. And so, which for those playing at home is not good. You want it to be
long time.
Yeah, you want it ideally around 28 days, but within 21 to 35 days is a good sign that you're ovulating. So we knew that she wasn't ovulating. She had skin issue flare-ups. She was exhausted and tired, like falling asleep at the wheel. And she grew up in a country farm, didn't really like the traditional medical doctor. Was like, I'd never want to go to them. She's like, oh, I need to go to them because I want to be able to fall pregnant and my cycles are off. I'm finally realizing that that's not normal. So she went to the doctor, got a whole host of tests done, and found that her TSH, which is that hormone from your brain to your thyroid to tell it to work, if it's above 4, medically they go, oh, okay, there's something going on. They might then go and do further testing for the thyroid, but then also they often say you need thyroxine to help with that. Hers was 29.
Wow.
And I was like, whoa, I actually have never seen anyone with that level. Okay, we need to do further testing because do you have a brain tumor? Is there an adrenal thing that's happening? We need to investigate further. Thankfully, she didn't. But basically her doctor said, okay, you've got this. You have also thyroid antibodies. So she was diagnosed with Hashimoto's thyroiditis. And they said, well, now you just need to be on thyroxine for the rest of your life. And when you want to fall pregnant, we might need to put you on metformin or some ovulation-inducing drugs, or you might also need to do IVF and this whole process. And she was like, this just doesn't seem right. Like, why is this happening? Like, I eat relatively healthily. So then she came to me and I was like, okay, let's listen differently. Let's use the functional lens. One of my favorite tests is this hair test. Did it. And I was like, whoa, her arsenic was through the roof. We ideally want no arsenic. We want no toxic elements. No. And hers was 4 times off the top. And I was like, okay, well, where did you get that from? And also we need to help clear that, because when our body has a toxic element, again, knowing that our body is the smartest, most amazing thing, goes, I don't want to keep that in the blood because that's really bad. So let's be really smart and shuttle it into our tissues. Where does it go? What tissues? Well, things like arsenic and mercury love to hang out in the thyroid.
Right.
Oh, okay. Why might you have these antibodies? Why might your thyroid be really struggling? So we helped her body by supporting her fundamentals. Really, that's what we focused on. We gave her specific supplements that were what she needed to balance her nutrient fundamental, helped her nervous system, creating spaciousness and play. And she was really on board with that. I find when people can really lean into that, they get a lot of benefit. And then also with her sunlight and blood sugars as well. So then her follow-up test 3 months later, her arsenic was pretty much completely gone from her body. By the way, her arsenic she grew up on a sheep farm, so they had sheep dip.
Right, that's where it came from.
That's where it came from. Because that's the thing, in this instance, when you have a heavy metal, you have to go, okay, am I still being exposed? Like, is it in my environment now, or am I away from that? And it's a heavy metal, so it's just stayed in my body, and my body didn't have the resources to be able to clear it. So what we did was we just resourced her body, gave it what it needed, those fundamentals, and then her arsenic came down because she wasn't still in exposure to it, which is great. And in that time, I also got her to go back to her doctor, go and get the blood test taken again, and her TSH level, which was around 29, came down to 4.1.
Well done.
Amazing. And we were like jumping for joy. I was like, this is incredible, right? I was hopeful, but I'm like, oh, I've never seen anyone like this, so let's just see. And her doctor still said, well, you still need to be on thyroid medication because you're above 4. I'm like,
0.1.
Take it tomorrow and it might be below. Like, look at the trend, everything you're doing. And also, by the way, you've got so much more energy. Your skin's cleared up. She was tracking her basal body temperature, which helps to know what's happening with ovulation. She's like, oh, I'm actually noticing that that's peaking. And also, by the way, as a point to the slow metabolizer, her general body temperature had risen. Because a lot of people, if you're at home and you're taking your basal body temperature, and it might be saying, oh, as a baseline, your temperature's quite low. It's like, oh, that's a sign that your metabolic rate's slower.
Slow.
Because if you think about your metabolism like the engine of a car, you drive fast, engine gets hot. You drive slow, engine not as hot. So that started to increase. She's like, oh, I'm feeling really good and I'm tracking my cycle. And then her period started to get a bit shorter. And then she's like, I think I might be pregnant. And she messaged me, I think it was 2 months after that. She's like, oh, I'm pregnant and it's amazing. And now she has I think he'd be nearly 1 now, a beautiful baby boy. And when she was in hospital, they were doing all the postnatal checks after she'd given birth. And she said, because she'd just moved in the final weeks of her pregnancy to a different town, so she had to go to a different hospital and different doctor. And she said on the form it said, patient adamant Hashimoto's, ? Because there was nothing in her bloods, nothing.
No, to indicate
that she
anymore.
had it. So it was like, how incredible. And also the fact that we were able to reduce the toxins in her body before she got pregnant, because unfortunately when we have heavy metals, our baby acts like a detoxer, the placenta. Our baby then takes the heavy metals
on board.
So it's incredible to be able to help her body get rid of that before then her baby being exposed to it, because the baby's exposed to the same things that are going on in your blood.
Did you clear that arsenic supplementally or
Yeah,
naturally?
so she had based on the hair test, there's also different supplements that are beneficial for that specific person. And also, so that's what we did with that. But we weren't going hardcore, like doing chelation or doing really fast detoxification. And I knew not to do that because of me personally. It's not a toxic element, but on my first test, I had really high levels of copper. And even if it's a nutritional element like copper, if it's really high, it becomes toxic. So I was like, get it out of me. I want to deal with this straight away, and like treating my body like it was a machine, which I know now not to do because it's not very nice. And so I was doing vitamin C infusions and doing all these different detoxes. And my second test, it came down drastically, but my skin was worse than ever. I was depleted because I was doing it way too fast.
Too quick, yeah.
So this is the thing with detoxifying. If you do it really fast, you need to be able to help the body be able to detoxify at the same pace. Otherwise, you just mobilize the toxin and then the body's like reacts, and then it goes, oh, I can't do this anymore, and shuttles it away. So it's about doing it low and slow is the best thing. So supplemental is great, is a great way to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, if I ask you a few questions and what's the baseline, what's the reason for it? For example, stretch marks. What is that?
Oh, I'm thinking, oh, geez, I better know the answer to these. So stretch marks are often if you think about skin is a everyone talks about collagen. So skin is a physical structure of the body. Anything that's a physical structure of the body has collagen. So if it's an artery, if it's hair, if it's skin, if it's an organ, if it's bone, it has that. So collagen is actually held together by copper bonds. So copper, this is what's telling me. It's telling me about your copper and zinc ratio. If you have white stretch marks, it often can be that you have copper in excess. If you have purple, it's like a higher level of toxicity. So we see, for instance, pregnant women can often get stretch marks because we're rapidly growing and our skin's needing to stretch. But also when we are pregnant, our estrogen level goes up because we're growing something. Estrogen grows things. Copper and estrogen go together. So often our copper gets really high in pregnancy. And then once we're postpartum, when our liver can work really well, our copper then goes back down. If it doesn't, this often is why a lot of women can get postnatal depression, because also excess copper mucks around with our serotonin and dopamine, and it can give us those symptoms. So if you're someone that notices your mind is really impacted by hormonal fluctuations or pivotal points in your life, like that perimenopause, postpartum, pregnancy, it's often to do with that copper level.
The copper level.
Yeah.
Okay.
So stretch marks are a little warning sign. It's like listening to your body in a little way.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about chronic psoriasis and eczema over the body?
So
What is that?
That can often be a copper thing as well. But it's, if you think about it in terms of, okay, what does the skin do? It's a literal barrier, right? Like if we had a cut, things could go in. So it's part of our immune system. So from an energetics perspective, and it's so interesting you asked that, because the latest episode of my podcast, I sit down with a lady, Vicky, who had 90% of her body was covered in psoriasis. And so she went down the whole route of, okay, medically, what do I need to do? I'm doing light therapy. I'm putting all the creams on. I'm having to like all the cortisone cream because it's inflamed, right? So what do? It's inflamed. Let's put some anti-inflammatory on it. What's that? Cortisone cream. Or we can go, oh, it's inflamed. Why is it inflamed? How can I help my own anti-inflammatory processes in my body work well? And that's your immune system. Your immune system is like attack, don't attack. Inflame is attack. Yeah. So when we're thinking about the functional side of things, those fundamentals, if we help with inflammation, that's helping your blood sugars regulate. Like if you're eating terrible foods that are processed, that's going to trigger inflammation in your body. So avoiding them, helping balance your blood sugars, getting into ketosis, helping to support your nervous system, because if your nervous system's in a fight-flight response, it's thinking, I'm under attack. That's what it's thinking. I'm under attack, protect yourself.
Causing inflammation.
Trigger inflammation. It's a really important, we need inflammation. It protects us. If we didn't have it, we'd be the bubble boy, right? Like we need our immune system to work well. But if it's always stuck in overdrive, it starts attacking stuff that's our own body, and it's like, what are you doing? We don't need this. So this is where you look at, okay, a simple question might be, where am I feeling like I'm under attack? Or where am I feeling like my boundary is being crossed? So some people might be like, I see a lot of people, particularly when they go, I'm not angry. I'm not an angry person. Anger isn't bad. And this is something that I personally had to navigate. Anger is actually a really great tool to have, because anger is a sign that a boundary has been crossed. That's what anger is telling you. So a lot of people might be like, oh, I'm not angry. But it's like, okay, do you have resentment towards anything? Resentment's sort of like the little sister of anger. Because often it's like, oh, well, resentment is, oh, I didn't want to do it, but I had to do it. It's like, oh, you're doing all these things that you don't want to do.
Right.
So this is often where a boundary has been crossed, or you're crossing your own boundary. It's like, I just don't have any choice and I just have to keep doing these things. So this is where your skin can be talking to you from that energetics perspective. And this Vicky, the lady that came on and shared her story about the psoriasis, she tried all the creams, and she's like, it was because there was a lot of people in my life that I allowed to walk all over me, and I stopped doing that. And also I hated my job so much that I would come home exhausted and I would have 2-3 glasses of wine, a whole bottle. And she's like, and then I finally stopped and was like, okay, this is what it's telling me. I need to stop drinking alcohol, because obviously that's affecting your liver and your gut. If we talk about function, everyone always be like, skin, it's your gut and it's your liver. Yeah, but also why are you doing those
Why are you
things that
doing
are
it?
creating that in the first place? So that's where the energetics came into play. So for her, hers was a lot of energetics. So stopping doing things she didn't want to do, doing the things that she wanted to do, and then all of a sudden her skin cleared up. So her skin was telling her that all along.
Wow.
Or you could just stick with, oh, okay, it's inflamed, give me a cortisone cream. It's not because of lack of cortisone cream.
Yeah, interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. So sometimes if it's
reason.
debilitating and you're scratching and then you've got infections and you've got stuff like, sometimes we need that, but that's not where we stop. But then we get curious and then okay, let's listen in a different way.
Dive deeper and find the reason for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, let's talk hair. Two things. Early graying or thinning of the hair.
Okay, early graying. We're sticking the copper is a really strong one here. So
Well,
early
some
graying
women
often
are going
is
grey in their late 20s and 30s.
Yeah. So often early graying can be a higher copper level. So if you're getting early graying and you're also, this is actually really interesting. I'm just connecting these dots right now live. One of my friends went early gray in her, she has blonde hair, so you couldn't really see it, but she started getting grays around like the temple area. And she also had really heavy periods and would have to be getting chronic like iron infusions every 3 months. She'd feel better for about a week, 2 weeks, and then would just go downhill again. And she'd be one of her mum is actually a very smart health practitioner herself, and she was doing all this different research of all these research papers, found this liposomal special vitamin C that's meant to be helpful, would order it from Germany to Australia and doing all this stuff to try and help her. And we're like, okay, let's listen differently. When you have high copper, yes, you can get early graying. Also, high copper builds estrogen. Estrogen builds uterine lining. Uterine lining, when there's a lot of it, you get heavy periods. You get heavy periods, what do? You lose a lot of blood and then you get low iron again. So it's like this loop. It's like, what do I do? So for her, it wasn't that she needed more iron. She was doing that and it was sort of like this Band-Aid loop.
She had too much copper.
She had too much copper. So, okay, let's actually support that. And interestingly, when people say, oh, have vitamin C to help with your iron, what vitamin C does is it actually helps you oxidize copper. So if you have excess copper, it's helping you
take vitamin C.
Exactly, right? So, but for her, and this is what I said to her, I'm like, oh, actually, let's go get and she's terribly scared of needles. But I said, come with me and get a vitamin C infusion. This is when I had the really high levels of copper as well. We were living together at the time. And so she took it and she's like, I haven't needed an iron infusion. And my periods are lighter because we reduced the copper. So then her periods got lighter. She wasn't losing as much blood. And also she could utilize the iron that her body was already creating anyway. So this is where, okay, early graying can be that sign, but then also look for other signs that could be in excess. Because there are other contributing factors. There's genetic things that can be triggered as well. But if you're noticing early graying and you also notice, I get heavy periods, or I'm always needing recurrent iron infusions, or I've got white spots on my fingernails, or I get stretch marks, it's like, those are all pointing to the same thing.
All the high copper.
Exactly. And people might be wondering, why might someone have high copper, right? Like we can take it. We can always continue to ask why. And for me, because I had high copper, I was like, why do I have high copper? Is it in my pipe, in like copper pipes? I'm not sucking on copper coins? Like what is going on?
Where's it coming from?
So our body, copper is a sedative mineral. If our body wants to slow us down, it will hold on to sedative minerals, like what we were talking about with the calcium before. So it will hold on to copper, and it loves to store copper in the liver. So when our liver isn't working well, we don't detoxify well. When people are talking about estrogen dominance and things like that, so, support your liver. But why do we need to support the liver in the first place? So this is where when we really look at, okay, all of the intertwining patterns, and instead of chasing things down rabbit holes, like I have estrogen dominance or it's my thyroid or it's my liver, it's all this stuff, let's just go to the fundamentals. Let's look. And that's why I love something like the hair test. It's not a thing that everyone has to do, but I find it so powerful in getting a personalized look at what is exactly happening with you over these last 3 months to go, oh, this is your pattern. Like the lady that had the arsenic. We would have had no idea.
No idea unless you did the hair sample.
Exactly. Or sometimes it's like, oh, whoa, it's because your copper's so high because you've been so stressed, your body's held on to it. So it's just, and it's also a great thing to sometimes, I think society's not at the point yet where you can just trust how you feel and do things based on, okay, my body's just telling me I need to do that. Often it's like, where's the proof? like it didn't show up on a blood test, so there's nothing wrong. But also we can flip that and go, oh, wow, fine, I can see it on this thing. I'm not making it up. And now I have a clear roadmap of what I can do. So that's a lot of the people that I work with that go, oh, it's just like the thing that I'm getting from this is it's just so validating. I'm not losing my mind because
Yeah.
I've been told that there's nothing wrong medically, which is actually great because you don't need medication or surgery. You're not really bad. You're not someone that's ended up with cardiac arrest. But also then let's listen to the whispers before they get that bad. Yeah.
Great advice.
Yeah.
And having that mineral test, hair sample test, just gives you that individualized, this is what's lacking, this is what I'm overproducing or holding on to, and this is what I don't have enough of. It's so important, I think. I want to ask questions on perimenopause and menopause later. So we've talked about the young people and the menstruating. Now let's talk about us oldies. So perimenopause, how soon do we do something to supplement it? And what do you think of HRTs? There's so many myths out there that HRT is good for you. No, don't take it. If you don't take it soon enough, then when you're in your 60s, it's too late to take it. Do you take it naturally? Do you do it as a supplement? There's so many myths out there. So let's just talk perimenopause and how soon does somebody going through perimenopause seek help?
I've got whiplash just listening to you say that. I think, and this is
There's so many advices out there. It's like,
it is,
complicated.
And I think again, it's always coming back to okay, your body's always looking out for you. It's telling you what it needs, so it's always coming back to that belief. Then, what does it need? It needs those 4 fundamental things for the cells to be working well. Then as women, this happens with men, but they don't transform a lot throughout their lifespan compared to women. So we have what are called the great magnifiers. So anything that starts with P in your life, puberty, pregnancy, postpartum, perimenopause. Yeah. So if you're in any area of this timeline of your life and you notice symptoms come out, that to me is saying, oh, okay, there's something off in your fundamentals and it's magnifying it. So I imagine it sort of like a beach. So before you hit puberty, your hormones are like a lake. They're flat, completely flat. It's like, oh, I can swim in here, easy. And you go, hey, congrats, you're a woman now. Let's have your brain communicate to your ovaries, and now your ovaries are going to start to produce hormones. Now we're going to add some waves in. So it's sort of like going from swimming in a lake to, okay, now you're going to swim down at Burleigh here on the Gold Coast. You're like, whoa, okay, I need to learn how to do this. And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, there's a rhythm and a flow to this. There's sets and waves, and I know where the rips are. I know where the troughs are. Okay, I learn how to do this. So this is where often in puberty we can be like, oh, okay, I might get flooding or there might be pain, but then often it normalizes. If it doesn't, it often means that your fundamentals are off in that space, because some people are debilitating pain, endometriosis, PCOS, all those things. Then pregnancy. Some people feel amazing in pregnancy. Some people do not. They get gestational diabetes and they're like, what the hell? Where did this come from? Wasn't in my family history. I had no signs of insulin resistance beforehand. Why is this coming out? Postpartum, you might be like, oh, I feel so much better, or I feel way worse. Often also postpartum, your whole life has completely changed because now you've got this baby and your sleep schedule and everything's changed as well. But also so have your hormones, so have all your minerals, so is everything. And then perimenopause, same thing. Your body's shifting into a different state because your brain and ovaries, it's sort of like a reverse puberty. Puberty is they start to kick into gear, they start communicating. Perimenopause is your brain's trying to get your ovaries to keep going, and your ovaries like, I've been doing this for a really long time. My egg quality and quantity has gone down. You can keep communicating to me and telling me to do it, but no, I'm not going to keep doing it.
Out.
Exactly. I don't have the resources to be able to do that. So imagine each of those P's are like different beaches. You're in Burleigh one time and now you're in all of a sudden Hawaii Pipeline. Like I can swim at Burleigh, but if you take me to Hawaii Pipeline where there's 20-foot waves and crazy rips and there's volcanic holes underneath, it's like, oh, I'm a bit stressed, right? But if I learnt to swim there, be fine. Yeah. So this is where we need to give ourselves a little bit of grace and go, okay, I'm at a different beach, so I need to treat my body differently. I need to learn how to navigate this differently. It's like there might be a lot of women in perimenopause that are like, I can't do what I did when I was 20. I can't get away with it as much anymore. Yeah. So the thing that's the common denominator across all of the beaches is a seabed floor, the crust of the earth. What happens when the crust of the earth shakes? We get an earthquake. What happens when there's an earthquake below the water? Tsunami. Yeah. So the seabed floor are our fundamentals. We know this before we get into perimenopause, we know this, like, I'm 30. If I don't look after my fundamentals, if I'm really stressed 1 month, or I've eaten terribly, or drank alcohol, or haven't been getting the proper sunlight, my periods might be more painful, or I might notice that I have a dip in my mood and energy more so that month. Other times when I've looked after those fundamentals, I'm like, oh, I didn't even realize that my period was coming, like had no symptoms of any kind. So this is where it's important to go, okay, in perimenopause, yes, you've changed beaches. Yes, the waves and the sets of hormones are going to be completely different to when they are when you're 30 or 20. But we always need to look after the fundamentals, because a lot of people in perimenopause, to your question, when do I go and seek support? Sometimes people go, oh, it's just perimenopause, so I can't really do anything about it, or maybe I'll take this HRT, for instance. But oftentimes it's like, that's actually a symptom because you're iron deficient or your thyroid's not working well. So that's actually giving you the same symptoms as what you think is because of perimenopause. So it's let's first look at your fundamentals first. Let's get the seabed floor nice and balanced. Great. Then we can go into perimenopause, what's actually happening. And this is to your point of, do you take HRT? Do you not? Is it dangerous? Does it cause cancer? All of those things. So 2004, the Women's Health Initiative, they did a study where they were comparing estrogen and progesterone therapy, or estrogen only therapy. And they basically stopped it early because they're like, oh my gosh, it causes cancer. Don't do it. Interestingly, when I was doing my master's degrees, they were talking about how actually someone in the media got a hold of the study before you could actually look at the relative risk and absolute risk, like actually looking at the data through a scientific lens, and it was misconstrued. So it's like, oh, it will cause cancer, but that was a relative risk, not an absolute risk. It's the same as looking at, well, if you have over 1 glass of alcohol a day, it has the same likelihood of causing cancer as the hormone replacement therapy. So it was taken out of context. So it was this whole like, okay, everyone's leaning away from it and now people are coming back to it. However, I am of the belief that if you're not looking after the fundamentals and the cells don't have what they need, and the cells are damaged, and we're not supporting our body being able to go into ketosis, for instance, and decrease inflammation, and our immune system to be like, that's a bad cell, kill that off, it's damaged, kill that off, kill that off. Okay, it's doing everything it needs to do. If we don't have that and we go, HRT is going to solve all our problems, and then we take HRT grows things. That's why it's so great for our nervous system. It links all our neural networks, so it helps protect us against dementia, Alzheimer's. It helps our heart work better. It helps our gut work better. It helps our bones. So it's helping make all of these connections. It's helping that. It grows things. What happens if you have a damaged cell and you put growth factor on it?
Accelerates it.
We don't want that. Yeah. So this is where it's not like HRT is going to be the thing that fixes everything. It's a tool that is beneficial for a lot of people, but we can't be like, that's the thing that's going to fix me and that's all I do, and I'm not going to look at anything else in my life. And that's to the point of listen to your body differently, medically, functionally, energetically. It's not that you have to do one or one is better than the other. It's going, what combination of them is right for me at this point in my life? Because yes, when you're in perimenopause and postmenopause, what's happening is that your ovaries are like, okay, I'm not going to produce those hormones anymore. I don't have the ability to be able to do that. And if we think about estrogen, for instance, estrogen for someone like me is predominantly produced from my ovaries because I still have a healthy pool of eggs. They're well looked after. I'm in my fertile years. When we're going into perimenopause, menopause, we don't have them as much, but our body goes, that's okay. I can produce it somewhere else. Where else do I produce estrogen in lesser potent forms? My adrenal glands and my fat cells. My adrenal glands, that's my nervous system fundamental. what happens if I am super stressed out of my mind? And you might be, if I'm not sure whether you're getting hot flashes or you know people that get hot flashes, when do they come? Often when it's like, oh, I've been rushing around or doing things and my mind's racing, it's like that's when often they can be triggered and come out because your adrenal glands are like, I'm producing my stress hormone because that's important for me to live. I don't have time to be producing this estrogen. I'm not going to do that. So then the estrogen drops. Estrogen helps with your temperature regulation part of your brain. So then those dips can come. There's so much research about box breathing and doing things for your nervous system and how
Yes.
much it reduces
Yeah.
hot flashes. No surprise, right? Because it's helping your adrenal glands not have to produce this stress hormone. It can produce what it was designed to because
Gets you into that parasympathetic system.
exactly. Menopause is a evolutionary thing. It's not a disease. It's just a natural flow and effect of your life. So this is where I say it's a great magnifier. And a lot of people also say, oh, I'm not lucky enough yet to get into that perimenopause, menopause stage of your life. But talking to a lot of my aunties, patients, my mum, they go, it just makes you go, I don't give a shit about this stuff. It's a real like, okay, what am I doing that's out of alignment in my life? And what do I actually really care about? So I think there's a lot of wisdom in that and going, okay, how can I listen to this? Obviously, if you're hating your kids and you can't really disown them and get rid of them out of your life, but it can help you look at how you've been doing things in a way of going, I'm just going to stop doing that. Like, why am I doing that? So there's wisdom in the symptoms that are telling you those things. And I see women that one of them actually, she was getting a hot flash and she was sitting down at the dinner table. She would always get them sitting down at the dinner table. She's like, there's a pattern. Again, listening to your body, being curious. She's like, oh, because I'm always so stressed when I sit down at the dinner table because it reminds me of family time when I was younger and my mum would always yell at me and I just have this inherent underlying stress of that. And now she's like, now I know that and I sort of work through that. She's like, now I don't get any hot flashes around that time. So again, yes, we have the physiological changes that are happening, but it's just sort of removing the buffer.
Yeah.
To show you what's underneath.
And I think the take home is as well is that the more symptomatic you are, you just got to look at your fundamentals.
Absolutely.
And if you're asymptomatic, because your fundamentals are pretty much regulating well.
Exactly, because that's your fundamentals of what your body needs. If your body doesn't have what it needs, it's going to give you a symptom. That's how it talks to you. Yeah. But HRT can be extremely beneficial. But I would always say, if you're going to use that and not look at all at your fundamentals, that's when there might be some trouble coming into play.
Thank you so much for this enlightening podcast. You've got a wealth of information. But what I would like to ask you is a few personal questions. Okay. So what do you do for your health?
Well, there's lots of things that I do for my health, but I used to be the person that had not a to-do list, but okay, I've done that, I've been to the gym, I've eaten these things for breakfast, I've had my protein, I've done all these things. Thankfully, a lot of it is ingrained now, but what I do for my health is I let my body lead the way. I ask my body, what would feel the most alive to you? Because that's when I know, when my cells feel alive, I'm like, oh, that's what I deem as healthy. So that's what I do. I choose what's most alive for me in the moment.
And if anyone wants to get hold of you and contact you, how do they do that? Or even buy your book?
Yes, you can buy my book, What's My Body Telling Me? So you can find me on Instagram at dr.Anthea Todd, or you can find me on my website, femalefundamentals.com.au.
Thank you so much. It's been so enlightening, and thanks for sharing all that information with me. It's been absolute delight having you today.
Thank you so much for having me, Alex.
If you like this podcast, please share, like, and subscribe. Also come and visit. The website is heartcoregroup.com, and we're also on Spotify, and YouTube is Heartcore Junction. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time.